So question 5, still of our CHRP 2023 June past paper. 5A says, a study has been commissioned by ABC Company Limited to establish the role of, so that is what you need to underline, to establish the role of training, career growth, and involvement in decision making on organizational performance. So this is like the research topic that needs to be worked on. So illustrate the scenario in a conceptual framework. So this topic, as I have said, carries the variables. And we said a topic should be made up of two different types of variables: dependent and independent variables. So the question here is, illustrate the scenario in a conceptual framework. And we said a conceptual framework is a graphical presentation of how the variables connect or interrelate or affect one another. So now, because you're talking about the role of training, number 1, career growth, 2, and involvement in decision making on organizational performance. So that means there's a number of variables in this specific topic that we need to have a look at, so that we categorize them as dependent as well as independent variables, and then from there we can be able to illustrate the conceptual framework. So here they say, to illustrate the scenario in a conceptual framework, we create a visual model. That's why I've said a conceptual framework is a graphical presentation, because if it's a graph, that means it's visual. There's a diagram that you're going to see. So to illustrate the scenario in a conceptual framework, we create a visual model that shows the relationship between the variables, which are the independent variables and the dependent variables. So in this case, I want us look at the dependent and the independent variables between training, because this is variable 1, career development 2, involvement 3, and organizational performance. Which ones become our independent variables and which ones become our dependent variables? Just from the look of things, we can go and see our illustration here, conceptual framework illustration. So in our illustration, you can see independent variables become training, number 1, training, number 2, career growth, number 3, involvement in decision making. Those are independent. They stand on their own. They are not influenced by anything. Rather, they affect the other variable. I hope I'm right. I hope you're getting me right there. And then the dependent variable now becomes organizational performance. So here we had just circled them to see which are the variables. We had not identified them, whether they are DV, dependent variables, or IV, independent variables. We had just said training, career growth, and involvement in decision making. And then we had also circled organizational performance. All these are variables. So the next step is basically to categorize them into the IV and the DV in order for us to come up with the conceptual framework. So that is how our conceptual framework will look like. You can decide to draw a table. If maybe you feel this one is not illustrating well, you can decide you make a table for this one, for this one, for this one, and then the arrow goes, and then we have this one. So that is also another way of illustrating the conceptual framework. So why is training, career growth, and involvement in decision making independent variables? Because they are those variables which they are not affected in any way. Rather, they affect what happens at the end. So when there's training in the organization performance will always be affected in the positive way. More training, more knowledge and skills impacted in your employees, then more performance or improved performance, so to say. And then career growth, when you allow people to advance their careers, when you allow people to go back to school, to advance on their courses, advance on their professional careers, they add more knowledge. And when they add more knowledge, when they come back to the workspace, they never work the same because they've gained something new, they've gained something better, and they can come up with new ways of doing things, which can impact the organizational performance in a positive way. And then also involvement in decision making. It's also an independent variable because it can also influence the organizational performance. For companies that have the tendency of involving their employees when they are making decisions, such companies experience performance, good organizational performance, and vice versa. For those companies who just make decisions on their own without involving the employees who work for them, chances are these employees will feel left out. These employees will not feel motivated, and they might even lose the morale to work. When they lose the morale to work, how do you expect them to perform? And that is why involvement in decision making can also affect organizational performance in a very positive way. So that is how we explain this conceptual framework. So all this becomes independent because they can stand on their own, but they have the tendency of influencing organizational performance, just as how I have just explained. So they say the arrows indicate direct relationship. This arrow, they indicate direct relationship, showing that improvement in training, improvement in career growth, and improvement in involvement in decision making contribute positively to organizational performance. If all these are kept constant and are not improved, then also organizational performance will not improve. It will become constant or even deteriorate. So that is it. I think I've just explained enough. In terms of the explanation I've made, this is just the repetition because they are explaining the framework, and it's just the same thing that I was just doing before I even do this particular presentation. So explanation of the framework here, they say independent variables, training. What is training? It is all about skill development, knowledge enhancement, or even workshops. Career growth, it can be through promotion opportunities, personal development, or career progression. And then involvement in decision making, it's all about participation in planning, feedback, opportunities, and autonomy. So here they are trying to explain these variables so that they can bring the connection between the IVs and the DV. So the dependent variable is organizational performance. What is organizational performance? It's all about efficiency, all about productivity, employee satisfaction, or even profitability and innovation. So when all these three are improved, then definitely organizational performance will also be on top. So that is the conclusion we can make. So that is number 5A. Number 5B states the human resource manager of PX company is collecting qualitative data. That is what you need to underline. Qualitative data from employees. So you are the human resource manager of that company and you are in the process of collecting qualitative data. So what are some of the methods? Explain the methods you could use to get the qualitative data. So first of all, you need to ask ourselves, what is qualitative data? We already defined this in our lessons. We are only doing the revision here, but all the notes are in our website. And we also did a whole lesson about qualitative data and quantitative data. And we said qualitative data is the type of data that does not involve statistics or numerics. That type of data that describes the phenomenon the way it is. That type of data that just gives a description of how things are happening. So it does not make use of statistics or numbers or values or even numerics. So now you are the manager. You want to go and collect this qualitative data. What are some of the methods are you going to use? That is what the question is looking for. Number one, you could use interviews. Go to the field, or maybe you can, nowadays, because you have internet, it's not a must for you to go to the field in order for you to conduct interviews. Interviews can be done by people who are even at a distance. So long as you have internet, so long as you have the necessary gadgets, whether it's a smartphone, whether it's a computer, whether it's a laptop, and you can access internet, then interviews can be done anywhere. So conduct a one-on-one or even group interviews. Allow your employees to share their experiences, perceptions, and concerns in detail, and then you'll be able to gather the information. And then you can also use focus group discussions, the FGDs. That is also another method you can use to collect qualitative data. Invite people in the organization, maybe set a date aside and plan for a seminar, plan for a conference. Invite these people, different groups or different categories of people, to come there and basically have an interaction with them about a certain scenario or about a certain subject that you want to get the information about. So here you'll invite these people, the groups, and then basically offer or give the agenda, let them give their opinions, let them give their views, let them give their suggestions, and that is how you gather the qualitative data. So organizing smaller groups of employees to discuss workplace-related topics can provide collective insights, encourage idea sharing, and even highlight common themes. So you can use focus group discussions. You can also use observation as another method. Instead of you having to distract people for interviews or for focus groups, sometimes you can just do it on your own. Go to the respected field or to the expected field, make some observation, collect the data by observing, and then there you go, you're good to go. So observation is done by watching employees in the natural environment and help capture behaviors or even patterns that will help you get the information that you're looking for. And then apart from observation, you can also use surveys and questionnaires. Surveys and questionnaires, this is also another method, open-ended. Open-ended because when you give an open-ended questionnaire, that means the employee or the person you want, or the respondent, so to say, will be free to give all kind of information that he feels is right for that particular question. So it will give you more of qualitative information that you need for such a purpose. And then also you can use document analysis as another method of collecting qualitative data. And what is document analysis all about? This is all about reviewing company emails or even reports or even employees' feedback or even the records within the organization. This will give you the qualitative data that maybe you could be looking for. We also have case studies, we have diaries, journals, and what else? Yeah, those are some of the methods as a manager of the company that you could use for collecting qualitative data. So that becomes the end of number 5. Thank you. We meet in our next question, which will be our last question, question 6. So if you like this video, you can always enroll with us. You'll be able to access more of these revision sessions. And also you'll be able to find well done lectures or pre-recorded videos for all the KASNEB courses as well as Rchrp. And in case of anything, you can always reach us out. We have our contact details on the screen. Feel free to call, feel free to WhatsApp anytime. So thank you, and let's meet in our next session.